Well, speaking of Sarah Palin's backyard, that's exactly where we begin today, up in Alaska, where Mayor Scott McAdams, the Democratic nominee for Senate, joins us via Skype. Mr. Mayor, thanks for being here. There's been a lot of attention directed at your candidacy particularly after Lisa Murkowski said that she'd become a write-in candidate. How does that affect your campaign, the potential for Republicans splitting their vote?
You know, this campaign's wide open, and we're working hard. We got a great campaign. We've made over 3,000 phone calls this weekend, and we're preparing to win.
I want to get more on that. Can I ask a quick question, though? Do you know who the spokesperson is for the Democratic National Committee?
Do I know who the they don't know my name, and I don't know their name.
Fair enough.
All right, good. We just want to check. So how's this going to play out, though? Do you see Murkowski
I think
as
his name's Woodhouse, but yeah.
Oh, all right.
Good. You got him. But are you going to, who do you see as your primary opponent here? I mean, who do you really have to topple? I mean, who's the bigger threat to you capturing this race? Is it Miller or is it Murkowski?
You know, I think right now, as we move through this campaign, Senator Murkowski and I will be making our case to many of the same moderate and independent voters throughout Alaska. Certainly, I have the Democratic base with me. But I think the biggest threat to Alaska and even to this country is Joe Miller and his narrow Tea Party views.
And how do you make that case? There was a lot of energy and enthusiasm behind his candidacy. Obviously, a lot of people are ascribing to those views, no?
Yeah, I mean, his base is solid. I mean, the folks that believe in him have got a fervor for him that I think will stay throughout the course of this election. Really, it's going to be about capturing the hearts and minds of Alaskans who want to put our economy back on track, who want to put Alaskans to work, who want to develop our natural resources in a responsible way, who recognize that Alaska, as a young state and as a large state, is infrastructure poor. There's still a case to be made for federal investment in our state. That's what this campaign is going to be about. It's going to be about Alaska. You know, Senator Murkowski and Joe Miller are embroiled in many ways in a family feud. I mean, obviously, Joe Miller was endorsed by Sarah Palin. The Palin-Murkowski conflict, or I guess not, difference of opinion has gone back a long way. Our candidacy is about Alaskans. It's about Alaskan communities and Alaska above Washington, D.C. politics.
So it's quite a statement you make, though, that Miller represents a threat to the country. What is it about Miller that makes you say that?
Well, I think this idea that that all services provided by the federal government, all spending provided by the federal government, need be limited to the four corners of the Constitution is a very narrow view of the world. You know, I think that as you take a look at the course of the 20th century, we've made so much progress, and those who would move or work to repeal or move that progress backwards, I think is something for every American to consider.
When you say things have to be within outside, it could be outside the four corners of the Constitution. What does that mean? What kind of limits are there then on federal power?
Well, certainly there are limits. I mean, I'm a person who, as a local school board member, as a local mayor, has invoked the 10th Amendment on things like the No Child Left Behind Act. I mean, certainly there are times when the federal government can go too far. But I believe that liberty begins with the individual. It begins with the person. And there's been times throughout the course of our history when, a lot of people up here talk about states' rights, and I'm a local control guy. Absolutely. But there's been times in the course of our history when the federal government has had to come in and usurp states' rights to protect the rights of the individual. When you think about the great progress we've made in civil rights, the great progress we've made in public education, in women's rights, and a woman's right to choose, repealing these things is a step backward. And in the year 2010, we need to be looking forward, not backward.
What are the Democrats nationally, Democrats in Washington, what are they doing to help your campain? I mean, we joke about how they
didn't... The DSCC is sending 3 staff up to our campaign. Human resources are incredibly important. But, this is a small population state. Media buys up here aren't quite the same. I mean, I think California is going to take $40 million for Barbara Boxer to win. For us here in Alaska, we're working to raise $1 million to win this campaign. So we've earned $300,000 in the first 3 weeks, almost entirely from Alaskans. We're going to continue to work to earn those dollars. When the DSCC comes to us, if they come to us, we'll be here. We're ready to win. But I'm not sure exactly what all of their internal processes are. but I do know that there's a lot of Alaskans, and the Alaskan Democratic Party stands unified behind our candidacy.
What national Democrats would you like to see come in for you? Would you like to see President Obama, President Clinton, anyone who you think registers with Alaska voters you'd want to see come in for your campaign?
You know, this is about Alaska. I've never talked to President Obama. I've never met President Obama. And 2 weeks ago, the National Democratic Party didn't even know my name. But what I do know is that Joe Miller was groomed and hand-selected by Sarah Palin. I think it's important for a national audience to understand that Sarah Palin is about as popular as Barack Obama in Alaska. You know, we can win this race. We will win this race. For folks who might be interested in making an investment in a campaign like ours, www.scottmcadams.org is our website. You know, $10 here is like $200 in California as it relates to what it takes to win. So I'd encourage your viewers to please take a look at us.
I want to ask you, you brought up President Obama not being particularly popular in Alaska. How do you assess the Obama presidency? If I asked you to give a grade to President Obama and his performance so far, what grade would you give him?
You know, I'd probably give the president, I've been asked this question before, and I've said C in the past. That may be, I'd say C+. There's a lot of things about President Obama's agenda that I don't necessarily agree with. You know, I think that sometimes the difference between Democrats and Republicans at the national level has become a difference between urban and rural Americans. And, you know, there's a lot of things about rural America that are unique. The transportation bill is one example, the reauthorization of Safety Lou. I mean, we have marine transportation needs. We have roads. This is a huge state. Alaska is almost too big for people to understand who haven't been here. Yet the transportation bill is very heavily reliant on urban transportation, mass transit. While those things are important, we need to have equity in our formulas. So I don't necessarily agree with the president there. On the front of public education, I mean, I've been a school board member for 6 years. I'm a past president of the Association of Alaska School Boards, was active at the national level and school boarding at the committee level. When you take a look at what Arnie Duncan's working on, I think it's very much based on the Chicago model of public education. Well, here in Alaska, we understand that national standards are actually a threat to our unique cultures. You can have no national standard in Yupik or Inupiaq language. You can have no national standard in Arctic survival. And when a child takes a standardized test in Barrow and is asked the question, what country is south of the United States? And that child answers Canada, is he or she wrong?
I guess they're right in Alaska. Final question. Can a write-in candidacy work? Lisa Murkowski, obviously the Murkowski name is well known, even if she's had some trouble spelling it in campaign ads. But is it possible for a write-in to work, do you think?
You know, I believe that it's not. In fact, I believe that a vote for Murkowski at this point is a vote for Miller. There are a lot of thoughtful, Alaska-loving, community-building Republicans in this state who believe in public schools, who believe in respecting our seniors, and who believe in the Social Security program, who know that Miller is not the right person. Well, Miller's base is strong. They're there. They're going to be there for him at the ballot box. You just look at the science of a write-in campaign. Look at history.
Right.
And, you know, every pollster that I'm hearing from, that I've taken a look at, says that you need to handicap any poll numbers that say that a person's going to go write in a person's name. Senator Murkowski is well known, but you know, I just don't believe that she can win. I don't believe that the science is there and that history isn't on her side in this thing. So I'm encouraging people who are Murkowski supporters to come into our camp.
All right, Scott McAdams, we know your name, even if the DNC doesn't. Democratic candidate for Senate up in Alaska. Thanks a lot for coming on Top Line. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you. This has been great.
Thank you, sir. We wanted to bring you this. This was a little altercation that Senator John McCain had in the Senate press gallery yesterday with a reporter from National Review. This is just classic. Take a look.
We do not go out and find out whether someone is gay or not.
Anybody is looking at privacy.
I don't know if they are or not. I know they don't go out and seek.
Documented cases.
They do not. They do not. They do not. You can say that they are. You can say that
Bring
page
them
5.
to
It's
the
not
office.
true.
I'd like to see them.
Yeah, I'd like to.
That
That is the case of Mike Almy, Senator.
Bring them to the office.
Bring them to our office. It is not the policy. It is not the policy.
But it is the case
not
that
the
it's
policy.
happening, Senator.
It is not the policy. It's not the policy. It's not the policy.
I don't think it's the policy.
Is it the policy? I'm not
What's interesting about that is that was done in the what they call the print gallery up in the Senate, which is where they're not allowed to have cameras. So McCain probably had no idea that he was actually being videotaped. Whoever did it was actually violating the rules. But a great little window into how these guys let their guard down a little bit when the cameras are not around or theoretically aren't around.
That's right, theoretically at least. But obviously, this was an on-the-record interview, regardless. And
Yes.
the subject was "Don't Ask, Don't Tell," which didn't surprise a lot of people in going down yesterday. Critical in this, of course, Senator McCain's opposition to seeing this policy repealed. This will come up again. The White House wasn't really working this one that hard.
No, in fact, the White House had a long list of grievances with the underlying bill, the defense authorization bill. There was really no way this was going to win yesterday, and even if they had gotten the vote to go forward, we were still a long way from final passage. So procedure.
Exactly.
It is not the policy.
It is not the policy, indeed. Well, it's also our policy to tell you about our guest. We were going to bring you Nate Silver from 538.com. He was a late scratch. We'll get him back on again soon, but we appreciate you being with us in the meantime. For John Carl, I'm Rick Klein. That's it for this edition of Top Line. Twitter.com/Rick Klein. I want to hear those captions.
Thanks. Scott McAdams.